Brothers, sisters, Mrs., Misters, the dented cast is upon you. A very serious, delicate episode today. My name is Dobie Maxwell. This is Max Bumgardner. And we'd like to touch on topics that a lot of other people will not touch on. And this is one that we've been preparing for a while, and we're going to attack it today. It is the S word, and it's suicide.
It's never, ever, ever worth it. It's never worth it. Even if you're at your lowest point, even if you feel like you did something that is completely unforgivable, it's never worth it. Don't do it because you affect others. And I know some people don't care about others, but you affect others. Probably people you don't even know that you affect, meaning that you'll leave a hole that you don't have to leave. So it's never worth giving up. Please, please, please get some help.
The reason we put this episode out there was maybe if you were scouring for episodes to look at and you came upon us here at YouTube or our podcast, we just wanted to talk to you exactly what Max said, giving you some stories to consider a better alternative. And have you come close to suicide? Can I ask you that?
Yeah, I did. It was after we worked in Chicago together. Mm-hmm. And we had moved our whole family. We were doing fantastic in another town.
Sure.
I was getting ready to start law school before you and I and our other partners were given the opportunity at the Loop in Chicago. And so we were trying to make a decision. Do we go to Chicago or do I stay here and start this program?
But that was your dream. How could you say no to that?
There was a night when I was driving down the road in the middle of the night, and I had a load of steel on the back of it, and I'm listening to country music. I don't know why, but country music to me...
Country and trucking go right together, don't
well, and I was like, I could hit... It's in the middle of the night. I could hit this bridge with this truck, and it would be over, and no one would know that it wasn't an accident.
I would have known it.
You would have?
Yeah, I would have. Because you're a sharp guy. You wouldn't have done, you're very meticulous.
Well,
I would have known it, yes.
And I remember the tears streaming down my face, and I just remember talking. I was talking to God out loud because I think that's just as effective as doing this.
Because you're in a truck and you can't hear you when you're gear jamming.
I'm so glad I didn't, man. And if you're watching this and you came up just because of the algorithms and you're teetering, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it.
Think about this, though. I'm not making fun of the situation, but a split second in your head could have taken you out.
Yes.
That teetering spot that you were in, you got tons of steel in the back of a truck. That's not going to stop on a dime.
No.
Those girders are going to saw your head off. I hate to be graphic, but that's what it's going to do.
Well, if it wasn't the bridge, it's the load that's going to come.
That's what I meant.
I knew it would be over.
And the load, yeah.
I knew. Beyond a shadow of doubt, it would be over. And it was right there.
And you're cranking it up at, 55, 60, whatever it is.
Well,
40, 80,
70.
70.
So, yeah.
Okay,
So
you were going to finish the job.
You're booking, right?
Yeah. So you're playing with flirt with this essence. So one wrong thought, it's over.
Well, what about the people that have to come
clean you up?
What about the first responders?
Yep. Going through your wallet, looking to see if the Burger King coupons are expired.
But with that thought in their mind, then what about that phone call to the wife and kids? No way, man. No way. I've done things that I feel guilty about still to this day, but that's just, I didn't want to add that to that. I don't think it's, for me personally, I don't think it's fair to put that on someone else, especially kids. I just don't think it's fair, man. I really don't. And I don't know what the circumstances are, and I'm not a mental health professional.
Nor am I.
But as a father, son, husband, brother, friend, I just didn't think it. There's too many reasons to keep going. And part of me wants to just slug it out till the very end anyway, because you're given this one shot. Why the hell, we're all focusing on the pain, which we've talked about before. And when you get to that point where you're thinking about ending your life, that's what you're consumed by. You are consumed by the pain.
Boy, I've been there.
You have no hope left at all. Mm-hmm. You have talked yourself, and it's all in your head. It is all in your head. Make no mistake, it is all in your head because That's not how the rest of the world views you at that moment. It's only how you are viewing yourself. It's all in your head, man.
I don't think the rest of the world gives shit one about anybody but themselves.
Well, that's not true.
Okay.
It's just not true. You have people that care about you even though you don't care about yourself sometimes. Me, same thing. We do. You know? Yes. Are most people on their phone, and are most people, do they have the attention span 8 seconds when a goldfish has an attention span of 12? Yes. 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 You know, you're right. Okay? But that's not to say that, well, because they don't care about me right now, that when you take your life, you're not going to impact theirs.
The reason I think this episode is so important is you've been to that spot, I've been to that spot, and I think the coincidence we don't realize is, maybe it's not a coincidence, we were all alone at that.
Right.
You know, who do you call in that situation? You better know somebody, and if you don't, that number is up there for a reason. Call somebody.
Right.
And sometimes that pain does get. I was there. It was a Christmas Eve for me, and it was the lowest point in my life. My sister wasn't talking to me. I had a horrible car accident the year before. No money, and my roommate had a gun. And I always hated Christmas because it was so rotten. Christmas memories as a kid every year, just brutal, and you can't turn it off. And every McDonald's bag that's got a holly berry and a candy cane on it, just like boom. I'm thinking, you know, it'll only take a couple seconds. And I went in his room. I knew where the gun was, and I just said okay. And I wrote my father a 10-page letter of all the pain that I thought he caused. And I took the gun and I put it outside of my head. I'm left-handed, so it would have gone out the other way. And I pulled the trigger, and the gun jammed. Didn't go. So I didn't look in there and try to do it again. But the emotional overwhelm to get to that point. I mean, you're driving 70 miles an hour. Would it be over quick? Gunshot would probably be over quick. But afterwards, I couldn't stand up. It was that overwhelming. And you lay there. It's like, okay, I'm here. I'm not going to do it again. But to get to that point, to go over the top, that's a lot of steps, a lot of triggers are launched to get there.
I totally agree, and it's one of those things that you can't undo.
No, you can't.
Can't undo it, man. And so once you make that choice, there's no reversing that, and we don't have to get into our feelings on God, okay? But let's suppose there is an afterlife, which we don't have to discuss now.
I'm assuming that there is for this discussion.
Okay. What are you doing for your chances there? In the Bible, that you're eternally damned if you take your life. And then if you dig a little deeper, there's examples of people who took their life in the Bible, and there were no repercussions. Okay. So, that's a true story. I just did the research this morning. So, again, on the internet, you can find whatever you want to support your argument. Okay. So you have to I am trying as hard as I can to go the opposite direction of my thoughts. Okay. So looking for the opposite of how I feel, rather than looking for something to support how I feel. And I can't tell you the growth that's happening. It's really amazing.
All right.
You know,
that's why we're here. We want other people to grow too.
Yeah. So, and I can cut this out of this episode if you'd like me to. But you did have an episode where you made comments on social media.
Yes. Now,
and I can cut it out if you'd like.
I know. I want to say it because I think it needs to be said.
Okay.
That first story I wanted to tell you about Christmas because it got so bad.
Right.
Mother's Day is a huge trigger for me. Look at the episodes, Mother. It's just not a good time. So May, traditionally, I've had some rough times. I put out on social media, this was years ago, on the internet, I'm having some bad thoughts right now. And I didn't say suicide per se, but I said I really need some help. Who can I talk to? And I chose about a dozen friends that I thought would be able to at least reach out and help me. Well, one person thought they were helping me, quote unquote, and called the police. And the police came to where I was living, and they took me against my will to the state mental hospital. and I won't even say what state it was at the time that I was living. And talk about a frightening experience. I was in there for 9 days. They basically own you, and if they decide you're crazy, they can keep you up to 180 days, I was told, and they can renew it, so almost a year, and the doctor is God, basically. And I saw a lot of things in there, and I was down and out of asking for help, and to go just shot into this particular place. You ever see the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? That was it. And there were people from the prison would fake mental illness to try to get drugs. And it was I made notes in the whole time I was there. And like you, I chose to exercise when no one else did. I rode a bike. I tried to eat well. It was the state prison diet in there. And I saw all these stories of people that I would talk to. And a couple days in, the staff could see that I wasn't, quote unquote, one of them. So the staff would hang with me, but I also hung with the I don't want to call them inmates, whatever you call it. But the person that was my roommate, he had tried suicide a bunch of times. I saw the scars all up and down his arms, and he's just a pathetic case. He wasn't a pathetic human being, but it's just a sad case. And I sat there and I would listen to him for hours because there was nothing else to do. They don't let you watch TV a couple hours a day, and it was just a life-changing experience. And for one thing, I mean, it's human nature that if somebody's doing worse than you, it makes you feel good. And I'm not proud of that, but I think it's like, well, I have problems, but I don't have those kind of problems. So it changed my whole outlook. And I hope I never have to go back there again. It was 9 of the longest days of my life. And the funny part was when I got out, I called some comedians, and they keep you in there against your will. I couldn't get out. I lost some comedy gigs. I had a comedy show booked in the next town over from where the mental institution was. And I got on stage. It was in May, and summer is not a good time for comedy. So there was about 20 people in this big comedy club. And I asked the people where they're from, and they told me the town. I said, hey, they've got a mental institution there. And they're laughing. I said, I had lunch there this afternoon. Ha, ha, ha. And they were laughing, and I did have lunch there that afternoon before I got released. And I think you got to learn to, I don't want to say laugh at it, but it really opens your eyes that there are a lot of people hurting in this world. And I think the reason we started this show, and it's not a show business glamour, we get pretty raw on this program. And again, call somebody if you're having pains. But I have had 2, again, 3 strikes and you're out. I had 2 strikes. If the gun would have gone off, Max and I wouldn't be here. And if I tried to ask for help, I guess I didn't ask for help in the right way. And that person didn't even call me afterwards, calls the cops, doesn't know what I've been through. I've never talked to that person since for that reason. If you cared about me, you'd call, are you okay? Do you need me to call somebody? Blah, blah, blah. Just totally call the cops, not thinking about it, boom. So it is delicate. It is choices that you make that are unreversible. So think before you choose the big one.